Most people never lose because they lack intelligence. They lose because they never give themselves permission to think beyond the invisible walls they inherited. Before a single dollar enters your bank account, before a single opportunity changes your life, before anyone recognizes your potential, something much more important must happen. Your mind must become larger than your circumstances. That is the real beginning of every extraordinary life. Bob Proctor spent decades teaching one idea that challenged everything society had conditioned people to believe. He said that your life is not controlled by your environment. It is controlled by your paradigm. A paradigm is more than a habit, more than a belief, more than a mindset. It is an invisible mental prison. It quietly dictates what feels possible, what feels realistic, what feels too big. Most people never notice the prison because they have lived inside it for so long. Imagine an eagle raised inside a cage from birth. It has wings powerful enough to soar above mountains, yet it spends its life hopping from one corner of the cage to another. Not because it cannot fly, because it has never imagined the sky. Human beings often live exactly the same way. They possess extraordinary creative ability, unlimited imagination, infinite potential. Yet they spend decades negotiating with limitations that only exist inside their own thinking. That is why thinking small is so dangerous. It does not merely reduce your income, it quietly destroys your future, because every decision you make is filtered through what you believe is possible. If you believe a better life is unrealistic, you stop looking for it. If you believe wealth belongs to someone else, you unconsciously reject opportunities. If you believe success requires extraordinary luck, you wait instead of creating. Little by little, your future begins shrinking, not because life became smaller. Because your thinking did. Napoleon Hill spent over 20 years interviewing some of the wealthiest and most influential individuals of his era: Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell. What fascinated him wasn't simply what they accomplished. It was how they thought. Their thinking consistently exceeded their current reality. They refused to allow present circumstances to define future possibilities. That is the hallmark of every visionary. They see beyond evidence. Most people only believe after they see. Visionaries see because they first believe. That distinction changes everything. Your future is built twice, first in imagination, then in reality. Everything surrounding you today, every city, every bridge, every airplane, every company, every invention, was once an invisible thought inside someone's mind. If that person had chosen to think small, history itself would look different. Yet millions of people wake up every morning carrying extraordinary ideas, only to silence themselves before the world ever has the chance. I don't have enough experience. I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't know the right people. What if I fail? Those sentences appear harmless, but repeated every day, they become identity. Identity becomes behavior. Behavior becomes destiny. This is why Earl Nightingale famously said that we become what we think about. Because thought is never passive, thought is creative. Every repeated thought becomes an instruction to your subconscious. Your subconscious never argues. It simply obeys. If you repeatedly tell yourself life is difficult, your subconscious searches for proof. If you repeatedly tell yourself opportunities are rare, it filters them out. If you repeatedly convince yourself you are ordinary, your behavior begins matching that identity. The subconscious is like fertile soil. It cannot distinguish between truth and repetition. Whatever you consistently plant, it faithfully grows. That realization should completely transform how you speak to yourself, because the most influential voice you hear every day is your own. Long before the world places limits upon you, you have already accepted many of them internally. That is why children often dream bigger than adults. Children have not yet accumulated years of invisible conditioning. They imagine freely, they create boldly, they believe naturally. Then life begins teaching them caution, safety, predictability. Realism. Slowly, dreams become smaller, goals become safer, Potential becomes hidden beneath practicality, until eventually, people stop asking, what is possible, and begin asking, what is realistic? That single question quietly changes an entire life. Because reality is always expanding. What seemed impossible yesterday becomes ordinary tomorrow. There was a time when human flight was considered madness. Crossing the ocean in hours seemed impossible. Communicating instantly across continents sounded absurd. Yet history repeatedly rewards those willing to imagine beyond current reality. Progress has always belonged to people who refuse to think small. The same principle governs your own life. The future you desire already exists as a possibility. But possibilities only become reality when someone is willing to believe beyond present evidence that someone must become you. Because nobody else can expand your thinking for you. Mentors can inspire you. Books can challenge you. Videos can awaken you. But only you can decide to abandon the limitations you have accepted for years. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is not failing. It is succeeding at goals that were far too small. Imagine climbing a mountain for decades, only to discover you chose the wrong mountain. Many people spend their entire lives achieving expectations that never truly belong to them. Their parents' expectations, society's expectations, their friends' expectations. Meanwhile, the life they were capable of creating quietly waits beyond the horizon they were too afraid to imagine. The question is no longer whether you have potential. You do. The question is whether your thinking is large enough to allow that potential to emerge. Because your future will never consistently exceed the picture you hold of yourself. Every extraordinary achievement begins with an extraordinary internal image, and every ordinary life begins with ordinary expectations. The invisible picture inside your mind is quietly becoming tomorrow's reality. The only question is, what picture are you creating? Because the picture you repeatedly hold in your mind eventually becomes the blueprint your life begins following. That picture determines what opportunities you notice, what risks you are willing to take, what conversations you have, what goals you pursue, even the people you choose to surround yourself with. Everything begins with the image you carry inside. Bob Proctor often reminded people that the subconscious mind is incapable of questioning the instructions it receives. It simply executes the program. If your internal picture says, "I'll probably never become financially free," your subconscious immediately begins organizing your behavior around that expectation, not because it wants to limit you, because its purpose is consistency. It always tries to make your outer world match your inner beliefs. That is why changing your life is never about forcing different results. It is about installing a different blueprint. Imagine trying to construct a magnificent cathedral using the blueprint for a tiny cottage. No matter how hard the builders work, the final structure will always reflect the original design. Most people are doing exactly that with their lives. They work harder, longer hours, more stress, more sacrifice, yet the blueprint remains unchanged. Eventually, their results return to the same familiar level, not because effort failed, because identity prevailed. This is why some people experience sudden success, only to lose everything a few years later. Their circumstances changed, their self-image did not. Eventually, the subconscious pulled them back toward what felt emotionally familiar. The opposite is also true. Some individuals lose businesses, lose fortunes, lose careers, yet somehow rebuild everything. People call them lucky. They are not lucky. They simply possess a blueprint capable of recreating success. That blueprint exists entirely inside their thinking. This is why wealthy people protect their minds with extraordinary discipline. They understand that every idea entering consciousness is planting a seed. Some seeds produce abundance, others quietly produce limitation. Every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every voice you repeatedly listen to is shaping your future identity. Most people consume information without realizing they are being programmed. Hours of negativity, fear, complaints, scarcity, comparison. Little by little, their imagination becomes smaller, hope becomes weaker, vision becomes blurred. Then they wonder why life feels heavy. The answer has been entering their mind every single day. Jim Rohn once observed that we become the average of the people we spend the most time with. That statement extends far beyond friendships. Today, you spend time with voices you may never meet. Authors, podcasters, news anchors, social media creators, television personalities. Algorithms constantly compete for your attention. The real question is, who is programming your thinking? Because whatever consistently occupies your attention eventually occupies your identity. Attention is the currency of transformation. Where your attention goes, your future follows. This is why clarity is one of the greatest forms of power. A person with absolute clarity becomes almost impossible to distract. They know exactly where they are going, why they are going there, who they are becoming. Every decision becomes simpler because it is measured against a vision larger than temporary comfort. Without clarity, life becomes reactive. Every opinion influences you. Every obstacle discourages you. Every criticism shakes your confidence. Every trend pulls you in another direction. You spend years moving, without truly progressing. Movement is not the same as growth. Being busy is not the same as becoming effective. Many people exhaust themselves climbing ladders, only to realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Thinking small often disguises itself as productivity. You stay busy enough to avoid asking deeper questions. Am I building the life I truly want, or merely maintaining the life I have learned to tolerate? That question can change everything, because comfort has quietly become one of the greatest enemies of greatness. Comfort whispers, stay where it's safe. Don't risk embarrassment. Don't dream too big. Be realistic. But history has never been written by people who worshipped comfort. Marco Aurelius ruled one of the greatest empires in history while reminding himself daily that the quality of life depends upon the quality of thought. He understood that external power means very little without internal mastery. The same remains true today. You cannot build an extraordinary future while protecting an ordinary mindset. Growth demands expansion. Expansion demands discomfort. Every meaningful transformation begins the moment you become willing to feel temporarily uncomfortable in exchange for becoming permanently stronger. Think about a butterfly before it ever flies. It must struggle inside the cocoon. That struggle is not punishment, it is preparation without resistance. Its wings never develop the strength required for flight. Human potential follows the same law. The challenges you are trying so desperately to avoid may be the very experiences preparing you for the life you keep asking for. Perhaps the obstacle is not blocking your path. Perhaps it is building your capacity. That changes everything, because now failure is no longer something to fear. Failure becomes instruction. Delay becomes preparation. Resistance becomes training. Every setback becomes another opportunity to become the person your future requires. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? The better question becomes, who is this experience helping me become? That single shift transforms victims into creators. It transforms fear into fuel. It transforms uncertainty into possibility. Because once your thinking expands, your future begins expanding with it. Because the greatest prison has never been made of steel. It has always been made of assumptions. Assumptions about what you deserve. Assumptions about what is possible. Assumptions about who you believe yourself to be. The tragedy is that most people never question them. They simply inherit them. A child hears money is difficult to earn. Years later, an adult unconsciously works twice as hard while expecting half as much. A young dreamer is told to be realistic. Years later, an older version of that dreamer quietly apologizes every time ambition begins to grow. Someone experiences failure once. Eventually, they stop seeing failure as an event. They begin seeing it as an identity. This is how small thinking spreads, not through facts, through repetition. And repetition creates certainty. The mind does not ask, is this true? It asks, have I heard this enough to believe it? That is why you must become the guardian of your own mind. Not occasionally, daily. Every morning you wake up, the world immediately begins competing for your attention. Headlines filled with fear, people filled with complaints, social media filled with comparison. endless opinions attempting to tell you who you should become. If you are not intentional, someone else will shape your thinking for you, and whoever shapes your thinking shapes your future. Successful people understand something that ordinary thinking rarely accepts. Attention is power. Where attention flows, energy follows. Where energy flows, results appear. That is why extraordinary people become fiercely protective of their focus. Not because they ignore reality, because they refuse to allow negativity to become their reality. Think about sunlight. Scattered sunlight warms the earth. Focused sunlight can ignite fire. The same principle governs your mind. Scattered thinking creates scattered results. Focused thinking creates extraordinary outcomes. This is why clarity is so valuable. Not because it removes uncertainty, because it removes distraction. When your vision becomes clear, thousands of unnecessary decisions disappear. You stop chasing every opportunity. You begin building one meaningful direction. You stop trying to impress everyone. You begin serving your purpose. You stop measuring yourself against strangers. You begin measuring yourself against your own potential. That shift changes your entire life, because comparison is one of the fastest ways to shrink your thinking. Someone else's chapter 10 convinces you to abandon your chapter 1. Someone else's victory makes your progress seem insignificant. Someone else's lifestyle causes you to question your own journey. Yet comparison ignores one fundamental truth. Every remarkable life is built differently. Henry Ford did not become Thomas Edison. Edison did not become Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie did not become Napoleon Hill. Each fulfilled a different assignment. Each expanded in a different direction. Each created value in a unique way. The world was enriched because they embraced individuality, not imitation. The same is true for you. Your future does not require you to become another person. It requires you to become the fullest expression of yourself. That expression cannot emerge while you continue thinking inside borrowed limitations. This is why courage becomes essential. Not the courage to fight others, the courage to outgrow your former self. There comes a moment in every meaningful life when the familiar version of you must be left behind, the version that doubted, the version that procrastinated, the version that constantly sought approval, the version that settled for less because it felt safer. Growth demands that you say goodbye to that identity, not once, again and again, because every new level asks the same question: are you willing to become someone different? Most people answer with words. Very few answer with action. Action is where transformation becomes visible. Ideas inspire. Action rewires. Every courageous decision teaches the subconscious something new. I can. I will. I am capable. Those experiences become evidence. Evidence becomes confidence. Confidence expands vision. Expanded vision produces bigger action. That cycle begins accelerating. Momentum appears. Momentum is one of the greatest gifts you can ever create. Not because it makes life easier, because it makes growth natural. One disciplined day encourages another. One courageous decision strengthens the next. One victory over fear weakens fear's influence forever. Eventually, the person who once believed they were thinking big realizes they had only been scratching the surface. That is the beautiful paradox of personal growth. Every expansion reveals an even greater horizon. The mountain you once believed was the summit becomes the starting point for another climb. That realization should excite you because it means your potential has no measurable ceiling. Your current imagination is not the limit. It is only today's limit. Tomorrow's thinking can be larger. Next year's vision can be greater. 5 years from now, you may look back at today's biggest dream and smile at how small it once seemed. That is exactly how growth is supposed to feel. The future is always inviting you into a larger version of yourself. The only question is, will you answer the invitation? Because one day, you will wake up and realize that your life has become the physical expression of the thoughts you repeatedly chose to believe. Not by accident, not by luck, not because fate suddenly smiled upon you, but because every decision quietly shaped another. Every belief strengthened another. Every disciplined action reinforced another. until your future was no longer something you hoped for. It became something you deliberately created. That is the hidden power of thinking bigger. It changes far more than your goals. It changes your identity, and identity changes everything. Most people spend their entire lives trying to improve their circumstances while leaving their thinking untouched. They hope a new job will create confidence. They hope more money will create peace. They hope success will create self-belief. But life rarely works in that direction. Confidence creates courageous action. Courageous action creates opportunity. Opportunity creates success. Success becomes the natural consequence of the person you have become. Everything begins inside, always. That is why Bob Proctor devoted his life to teaching that the greatest journey is never outward. It is inward. Because the moment your inner world expands, your outer world begins racing to catch up. This is not magic. It is alignment. The world responds differently to someone who thinks differently. The person who believes solutions exist begins finding them. The person who believes abundance is available begins recognizing opportunities invisible to everyone else. The person who believes they are capable begins attempting things others never dare to try. And every attempt creates another possibility. That is why your future does not depend on certainty. It depends on courage. Courage to dream beyond your current reality. Courage to continue when evidence has not yet appeared. Courage to protect your vision while the world questions it. History has always rewarded that kind of courage. When Walt Disney imagined an entertainment empire, countless people saw fantasy. When Oprah Winfrey imagined a life beyond rejection, many saw impossibility. When Elon Musk imagined reusable rockets, critics saw failure before the first launch. Vision has always looked unreasonable to those committed to ordinary thinking. That should encourage you. If your dream feels larger than your current reality, it is supposed to. Dreams are not designed to fit your present identity. They exist to pull you toward a greater one. Every meaningful vision stretches the person holding it. It demands more patience, more discipline, more emotional control, more resilience, more faith. Without that stretching, growth never occurs. Think about the ocean. Ships are safest while resting in the harbor, but ships were never built to remain anchored. Neither were you. You were never designed to spend your entire life protecting comfort. You were created to explore possibility, to expand your thinking, to discover abilities you cannot currently imagine possessing, to create value only you can bring into the world. There is an assignment attached to your life that belongs to no one else. A contribution, a solution, a message, a legacy. Small thinking keeps that gift. Hidden large thinking gives it permission to emerge. Imagine reaching the final chapter of your life and looking back. What would matter most? The moments you played it safe, or the moments you trusted your vision? The opportunities you ignored, or the risks that transformed you? The opinions that kept you small, or the beliefs that made you free? No one reaches the end of life wishing they had dreamed less. No one wishes they had contributed less, loved less, created less, lived less. Regret rarely comes from trying. It almost always comes from hesitating, from waiting, from allowing fear to become louder than purpose. Do not allow that to become your story. Do not spend decades preparing for a life you never actually live. Stop negotiating with limitations that exist only because they have been repeated for years. Stop asking permission to become extraordinary. Stop shrinking your dreams to make other people comfortable. The world has never been transformed by people committed to fitting in. It has always been transformed by those willing to think beyond accepted limits. That same opportunity exists for you right now, not someday, not when you feel ready, not when every fear disappears. Because readiness is rarely a feeling. Readiness is a decision. The decision to believe that your future can become greater than your past. The decision to act before confidence fully arrives. The decision to grow beyond every version of yourself that no longer serves your purpose. So beginning today, guard your mind as if your future depends on it, because it does. Protect your vision from doubt. Feed your imagination with possibility. Choose conversations that elevate your thinking, read books that challenge your assumptions, spend time with people who make your dreams feel achievable rather than impossible, refuse to let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. Most importantly, never allow your current circumstances to define the size of your future. Your circumstances are temporary, your potential is not. There is a version of you that already thinks bigger, lives bolder, believes deeper, acts faster, serves greater, creates more. That version is waiting. Not for permission, not for luck, not for perfect timing. It is waiting for one decision, the decision to stop thinking small, because the moment your thinking expands, your life has no choice but to follow. If this message challenged the way you see yourself, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And before you leave, another video is on your screen. Watch it, because changing your future doesn't begin with changing your circumstances. It begins with changing the way you think.